Earlier this week, Ukrainian forces crossed the Dnipro River under the cover of darkness on a daring mission to destroy a Russian field headquarters. The crossing begins quiet enough, but before long, contact! Fire is exchanged with the enemy, but the assault presses on. After a grueling battle, our boys take the position, neutralizing 12 invaders in the process, including the enemy commander. Their mission complete, they return back to friendly lines with the satisfaction of a job well done, and more importantly, valuable enemy intelligence. Another successful night's work for Ukraine's finest, proving that they are still on the offensive. However, to the east in Donbass, the march of tyranny continues. The city of BAKHMUT is a city under siege as the brave Ukrainian defenders hold out against a relentless Russian assault. Every day, thousands of artillery shells rain down as Russian troops, augmented by newly formed penal battalions, throw themselves into the battle, a battle being waged house by house, street by street. Confidence in victory still abounds, however, as the National Guardsmen defending their homes have been augmented by special forces and mountain troops, along with the very best of the Ukrainian army. These boys of the 4th Tank Brigade have been laying waste to Russian armor in the area, especially with their T-64 Bulats. Watch them destroy this BMP-3. Ukrainian-made steel offering a Ukrainian welcome. The fighting is fierce, and casualties are extremely high on both sides. But despite losing as many as 100 men a day, Ukrainian morale remains unbroken, sure in the knowledge that for every one of their own lost, at least 2 or 3 of the enemy fell to accomplish it. But it appears that that is a price Mr. Putin is willing to pay. Wagner PMC, Russia's fascist mercenary army that forms the backbone of their Donbass operations, has confirmed their seizure of the mining town of Soledar, north of Bakhmut, continuing Russian attempts to fully encircle the embattled city that has thus far proved elusive. The men of the Ukrainian 46th and 77th Air Mobile Brigades have been holding Soledar since August of last year, inflicting horrific casualties on Wagner troops in the process. In images too sensitive for public distribution, the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense has shown fields literally strewn with the bodies of the Russian invaders. However, the enemy has thrown all its weight behind the offensives in this region, especially in the form of artillery. Trench warfare dominates the battlefield, as the town, once home to over 10,000 Ukrainians, has been leveled to the ground in indiscriminate shelling. Sergei Chavarati, spokesman for the Ukrainian army, has since pronounced that Ukrainian troops withdrew in good order to prepared positions in an effort to prevent excessive loss of life or the complete destruction of the defending force. While no specifics were given, it is apparent from recent information that a fighting withdrawal was carried out over the past 2 or 3 weeks, with a new defensive line established across the river to the west of the town. The Russian artillery supremacy continues to be a problem for Ukrainian forces, as the invaders are achieving fire superiority, launching human wave assaults at the line, forcing the Ukrainians to open fire. This reveals their order of battle and its deployment. Though costly in terms of lives, it is an effective tactic, with Ukrainian artillery positions and frontline strongpoints being routinely overwhelmed and destroyed. Use of this method in the open field south of Bakhmut has resulted in major gains by Russian troops in recent days, while supply lines to vital frontline units are routinely cut by steady shelling, forcing further withdrawals. And while Ukrainian artillery has proven to be more effective and accurate, there simply isn't enough of it to mount an effective counter to the Russian menace. Should this trend go on, an encirclement of Bakhmut is no longer a fantasy, but perhaps a grim reality. As such, calls for more material aid to Ukraine have become louder and louder in the face of this renewed Russian offensive, with rumors of another major offensive inbound. Despite Vladimir Putin's denial of further call-ups, more and more conscripts are arriving on the lines every day, which will enable the invaders to conduct another full-scale offensive operation somewhere along the line. President Volodymyr Zelensky warns that another attempted advance on Kyiv, perhaps involving Russia's ally Belarus, is potentially very likely, while other observers have noticed a renewed intensity in combat operations around Zaporizhzhia, suggesting that another major battle is just beginning. As the mud season approaches, with the war's first anniversary not far behind, it is apparent that more and heavier support from NATO will be required to hold the line in spring for a new counterattack in summer. But it appears that finally, after long debate and discussion, that support is on the way. A tense meeting at United States Air Force Base Ramstein in Germany took place between the Allied powers this month as debate over heavier support to Ukraine intensified. After agreements put in place to provide heavily armed infantry fighting vehicles, domestic support among the people of the United Nations has been equivocal, with Eastern European NATO members threatening to unilaterally provide support regardless of the outcome of the meeting. Poland has already taken a proactive step to ensure that whatever happens, the boys at the front will have everything they need to defeat the Russian invader. Germany has been the sticking point in this debate, with Chancellor Scholz's government deflecting responsibility while denying the provision of the Leopard 2 main battle tank as a potential escalatory measure, a claim made while safe from Russian cruise missiles, no less. Unofficial sources inside the government have reported that they would only provide Leopard if the United States provided the Abrams, but this is staunchly denied. The most vocal voice in German domestic politics against the transfer of these vital machines has been, in an ironic twist, the Alternative for Germany party, a group that fought through scandals of Holocaust denial and has been investigated multiple times for holding extremist views. As one can imagine, their politics very closely resemble another German political party from over half a century ago. Their calls for negotiation are therefore pure hypocrisy. After all, they of all people should know how appeasement benefits a dictator. But the people of Germany have not forgotten their history, nor the people of the free world, as it has been confirmed by senior leaders that NATO main battle tanks are on the way. So let's meet our newest weapons in the fight for freedom. Representing your own United States of America, the king of the modern battlefield, the chariot of democracy, is returning to the front lines once more. America has once again shown that it will never back down from a challenge, especially when the free world's security is on the line. With a 1,500 horsepower turbine engine, the Abrams sounds like a fighter jet, and with so much power it almost flies like one. Despite weighing almost 70 tons, this tank can go 40 miles an hour across any kind of terrain. Neither mud nor sand poses a threat to this beast, and yet with the kind of armor this tank has, the least threatening thing to the Abrams is the enemy. Armed with a 120mm main cannon, multiple machine guns, and a full suite of modern sensors, the invader will soon learn what Saddam Hussein learned. When the Abrams arrive, you won't survive. But where would America be without her staunchest ally? Britain once again proves that despite all of her faults, when tyrants threaten the peace of Europe, she will always be the first to answer. The first Western tank to be sent, the Challenger 2, is the pride of the British defense industry, with one of, if not the, finest survivability record among modern main battle tanks. Ukrainian tankers will soon be the safest men on the battlefield, and that life is a life of luxury. Much roomier than their old Soviet designs, it even comes with an onboard kettle. Because stopping fascist invaders is thirsty work, and cooking meals outside during an artillery barrage is bad for one's health. The 120mm main gun is rifled, an oddity amongst main battle tanks, but the Hesh rounds it fires are absolutely not to be trifled with. Its powerful turbo diesel engine makes it better on fuel than the Abrams, combined with a further operational range as a result. The enemy can neither run nor hide or outlast our boys, especially considering NATO sensors. It even comes with a remote weapon station capable of mounting everything from a small machine gun to a 40mm grenade launcher. The Russians better have a Pavel Reversky, because the British are coming. The last time panzers came to Ukraine, they came as the fascist invaders. Now they return as the defenders of freedom. The premier modern main battle tank in service with over 20 nations, the Leopard 2 will form the new backbone of the modern Ukrainian tank fleet in coming years, and it will most likely take over from the venerable T-64 completely after the final victory is won. Packing a 120mm main gun, Equipped with one of the most advanced sighting and targeting systems available on a main battle tank, the Leopard 2 can hit any target it chooses at over a mile, and with the latest stabilizers installed, it can do that while traveling at a top speed which is comparable to the Abrams at 43 miles an hour. The Leopard also comes with full digital integration as standard and an elaborate compartmentalized armor scheme. German engineering at its finest. Yet despite all the pledges of support from Germany to Canada to Norway, it is Poland leading the charge once again to bring us this vital weapon into the fight. Ukrainian personnel have already begun initial training in cooperation with Polish forces on the Leopard 2, with an immediate transfer of 14 tanks upon completion. But they aren't stopping there. In addition to the company of Leopards, Poland will be providing an additional 60 modernized T-72s to carry the fight forward. Once again, the winged hussars ride east with purpose. With our combined strength, victory is assured. But there is even more help coming from our new allies to the north. As mentioned earlier in this film, the Russian superiority in artillery has caused no end of problems for Ukrainian forces serving on the front line. But thanks to our friends in Sweden, these problems may soon be a thing of the distant past. Introducing the Archer artillery system from Sweden's own Bofors company. To survive on the modern battlefield, mobility is the name of the game. In a world of drones, satellites, and cruise missiles, staying in one place gets you killed. Survivability movements, as our troops call it, keep our important weapons safe from the enemy. The most useful weapon in the war thus far has of course been the HIMARS, which stands for High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. Now imagine something with the speed and mobility of the HIMARS while possessing the destructive power of a 155mm shell. That is of course the Archer artillery system. In this recording here, you can see just how little time it takes to set up the weapon, fire it, and then reposition. And if the situation calls for it, the Archer can fire 8 rounds a minute at a precise target over 20 miles away. And best of all, it's fully automatic, with a crew of only 3 men required. A marvel of modern warfighting, but that isn't the only assistance Sweden is providing. The CV-90 infantry fighting vehicle is one of the most terrifying weapons on the battlefield. Once again, our Swedish friends decided that when it comes to guns, size matters. Armed with a 40mm autocannon, the CV-90 can destroy anything except a tank. But don't worry, that's what the troopers inside are for. Sweden has pledged a new wave of anti-tank launchers on top of the thousands they've already sent, along with a commitment to future logistical support. Glory to you, people of Sweden, and of course, Slava Ukraina. Together, freedom shall triumph. Reminder to all citizens, the Ukraine Newsreel is here to keep you informed of important developments in Ukraine's struggle for freedom. But victory cannot be achieved without your help. The struggle for democracy needs you. Donate some much-needed war bonds to the charity Come Back Alive or the Ukraine Defense Organization to get our boys the tools to finish the job. And for those who are perhaps uncomfortable with providing weapons, our soldiers still need to eat. Donate to the Frontline Kitchen. You can find the telegraph connections for these organizations on the lobby notice board below this film. Thank you for watching, and Slava Ukraine!